Hey class, hope you're doing well today. My name is Jacob Baggett and I did my book review on Simple Church, Returning to God's Process for Making Disciples by Tom S. Rayner and Eric Geiger. I want to highlight here just for a minute about the authors of this book. Tom S. Rayner, President and CEO of Lifeway Christian Resources, former pastor and still to this day a researcher, as he's written more than 20 books, and I'm sure that more have yet to come out. And then we have Eric Geiger, senior pastor at Mariners Church in Irvine, California, former senior vice president of Lifeway Christian Resources. And you can already tell Lifeway Christian Resources, Geiger and Rayner, they were probably very close friends. And I just want to pick a simple little paragraph to read to you from the acknowledgments, because I think it goes a long way in what we're going to see throughout the presentation of this book. And, Rayner says, a couple years ago, a man with lots of energy came into my office to show me some research he had done. He couldn't sit still, such is his nature, but even more so on this occasion. He was tremendously excited about the fruit of his research to this point. Simply stated, he found that the healthiest churches in America tend to have a simple process for making disciples. They had clarity about the process, they moved Christians intentionally through the process, and they were focused on the elements of the process, and they aligned their entire congregation to this process. And this is how the simple church was discovered, by this man, Eric Geiger, and his passion for seeing that there needs to be more information on a simple church today. There are 5 key components, I think, that I wanted to overview in this book that Geiger and Rayner do a great job at talking about, illustrating. And number 1, simplify the approach and make more disciples. Geiger and Rayner come in this book and they want to make it a priority that the end goal is spiritual growth. So how can we take what I said here on 3, complexity and lack of focus? How can we take things being complicated and make them simple? How can we take the approaches that are happening from movements in the church, from anything that's going on, and make more disciples from that? And I said here, streamlining and revitalizing the functioning of the churches. They want to do this in the most efficient and the most effective way. One thing I do like that they do a really good job is the easier ways to foster more effective disciple making. When you read this book, you will see that Rayner and Geiger give you great practical insight on how to be that more effective disciple maker, in a sense of what can you do to simplify what you're saying or what you're doing and make growing followers of Jesus Christ. And then lastly is the idea of simple church revolves around 4 key steps. We have clarity, we have movement, we have alignment, and we have focus. And Rayner and Geiger do a great job of explaining all 4. Before we dive into the 4 elements that I just stated, I want to take a look at what the heart of simple church is. And in Rayner and Geiger's definition, they both say a simple church is designed around a straightforward and strategic process that moves people through the stages of spiritual growth. The leadership and the church are clear about the process, which is the clarity, and are committed to executing it. The process flows logically, which is movement, and is implemented in each area of the church, which is alignment. The church abandons everything that is not in the process, which is focus. So the 4 steps, you heard it there: clarity, movement, alignment, and focus. The first step is clarity. Clarity is the ability of the process to be communicated and understood by the people. So I put here, I said, defining a clear and simple process. I think this goes with a lot of churches out there in the world today, and even organizations. They have to be on the same page. The mission, the vision, the goals, the beliefs, it has to have a certainty, because this will eliminate confusion along the congregation, the employees, whatever the case may be. And I appreciate how Rayner and Geiger state this as phase 1, if you will. Phase 1 is to make this vision, make this mission vocal by telling their people, by telling the people that are the lay leaders and they vocalize it, but making sure that there is a clear vision and a simple process is in phase 1. Phase 2 is movement. Movement is the sequential steps in the process that cause people to move to greater areas of the commitment. So spiritual growth and maturity. Geiger and Rayner come in and they say, hey, what can we do to make processes a little bit smoother for that simple church that we want to create? And so the structured pathway, the flow of the ministry, what's happening from service to service, are things moving well, are things less complicated than they were before? Is the focus there? Are we sitting here and saying, hey, this is our mission, this is our vision, and do we have a clear path? Can we move forward in what we have? And that's the last thing I have here. Handoffs, the details. That's what Rayner and Geiger harp on the most, is that this is the most crucial phase yet, because this relies on so many moving parts that make the ministries flow in each great value. And now we get to phase 3, alignment. Alignment is the arrangement of all ministries and staff around the same simple process. I put here moving in the same direction, ministries, programs, activities. And so along with this, Rayner and Geiger, I didn't put this, but they talk about how some churches are out of this clarity, out of this movement, and even all of a sudden the alignment has gone wrong because now you have churches battling over space. Think about that. I actually just came from this, from where I am. My church, we battled with space. And all the ministries were trying to use a room that was maybe occupied at the time or whatever the case may be. But alignment is a crucial deal. It says here, all churches naturally drift away from alignment. And that is so true, that we always get off course. And even Rayner and Geiger use the illustration of a car misalignment. If you think about if you drive your car and you are out of alignment, I mean, your car is literally driving at an angle, but it's going straight. It's not safe. It's not going to benefit you or the people in your car. And so you always have to go get it adjusted. You always have to say, hey, I'd like a tire rotation, and I'd even like for you to check for the alignment. And so all the time, we as church pastors, we as church lay leaders, whatever the case may be, we always have to make sure that, number one, our clarity is there, our movement is also there, and that we are aligned, and that we are flowing, and that we are saying, hey, we are in this together. The ministries, the programs, the activities, we are in alignment together. And now we jump into phase 4, focus. Focus is the commitment to abandon everything that falls outside of the simple ministry process. I put here, I said, no focus, no more clutter. Rayner and Geiger do a great job early on in their book talking about ministry clutter, things that are just happening to happen, events, programs, what are we putting in place of the services. All this thing that we do not need in the ministry is there. And so they say, no focus, more clutter. This means if your clarity is not there, that you are losing focus. And then you're just going to be unrecognizable. They say that clarity is the key, because then all of a sudden that movement comes in there and you're just unrecognizable if you don't have clarity. From the get-go, your mission, your vision, you're not stating what you want to be as a church or organization, and you have no focus. And then all of a sudden they talk about how that a simple church leader, they have to ask the difficult questions. They have to say what truly matters and what are we doing to impact that? What are we going to do to say, hey, we need to get back on focus. We need to have a plan in place, and this requires that we must enter this phase 4, focus, because in reality, this all makes sense, that you have to have a clear vision, that you have to have movement in that vision, you have to be all on the same page, and you have to stay focused to what you are doing. So as we talked about those 4 phases, the clarity, the movement, the alignment, and the focus, when you read this book, or if you've read this book, you know that is the crucial elements of Simple Church. You have to have clarity, you have to have movement, you have to have alignment, and you have to have focus in order for Simple Church to exist where you are. And so for my takeaways, practical insights, number 1, have vision, move toward that vision, align the ministry around that vision, and focus on living that mission out. And then case studies, real life examples. Man, Geiger and Rayner do a great job of taking these churches that they've actually maybe been a part of or even reached out to be a consultant, and they give you what they are going through. They give you the aspects of ministry that are not there for them, that are there for them, and what they can do to make their church simple. And then clarity is essential. I just took that away. That making sure that in my heart and in my life and in my vision to other people, that I am clearly stating what the vision, the mission is. And then being intentional in creating a disciple-making strategy. I think it's crucial, even in my life, that I'm such a personable guy that I am able to talk to a wall at times, but I am able to be intentional about creating discipleship among others. And that starts through this book, that I'm able to pick nuggets of what Rayner and Geiger were saying. And then the alignment leads to effectiveness. That if the team is aligned, if everything is going well, that we will be effective, that whoever is trying to make this simple church happen, that they will be effective. And then the last takeaway I had is avoiding ministry clutter. I think about when I started 8 years ago in ministry, almost 9, how much clutter I had in my own life, that I was just coming off of my junior year of college, and then I was saying, oh my gosh, what in the world? I have so much going on. Everything around me is falling apart. But that could have all been avoided if I would have just said my vision, said my mission, said what I was clearly thinking at the time, and then moved in a good and healthy way. I think here for my reflection and application of my ministry is define clear objectives. I think in my life that before I was reading this book, I didn't have a clarity. I didn't have the clear vision, the clear mission that I wanted to have. And I really appreciate Rayner and Geiger in their heart to just simply stating, hey, let's set that vision. Let's set that mission before we start launching anything. Because without that key foundation, your people are lost. You're lost. You have no direction. You don't know where you're going. And so I pray that I can apply that to my ministry, that I can define those clear objectives. And then I can simplify processes, that I can come in anywhere I go and I can sit and look at a 30,000 foot view, and I'm going to need help with this for sure, but that I can help simplify some complicated things, that I can say, hey, listen, I've read this book before, and these are 4 simple steps that helped me while I was reading, and then all of a sudden, holy cow, it might be able to help you. And something else I wanted to establish a discipleship strategy, something that I can go and take back and help disciple other people, whether that be reading books, whether that be reading this book and then saying, hey, look at these 4 simple strategies that you can go share with somebody else, and make sure that you align your vision, that you are just like Rayner and Geiger, that your end goal is that you want to see spiritual growth, and that through them helping churches, that we all want to see a cycle of spiritual growth and seeing people be falling more and more in love with the person of Jesus as he is the perfect example to see someone that disciples others, that loves others, and that brings peace in all reality. And then I want to keep note of aligning ministries. I want to make sure that I can go into wherever I'm going next and say, hey, let's make sure that we are all on the same page, because it's going to help us in the long run as we have our clarity, as we move well, and that we are all on the same page and in alignment, that our ministries, that our programs and our activities, they all have that sense of vision and that sense of mission, and they meet in the middle. And then I want to equip and empower leaders. I want to be able to be that person that they look back and they say, wow, Jacob really helped me, in a season where I needed it most, that I just want to be an uplifter, I want to be an encourager, and I want to be somebody that can take these four key elements and bring and provide them great tools for their toolbox. And then I want to celebrate progress and successes. That's what Rayner and Geiger do. They celebrate the progress and the successes of the churches that they've helped, because they've seen God in every season do what he does. And he brings love, he brings light, he brings comfort, he brings peace. And that's what I want to be. I want this to be the reflection of my ministry, is that I want to be Jesus. I want to be the example. I want to be his hands and his feet.